Welcome into the Game Plan Commanders family, an exciting home matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Head coach Dan Quinn comes and talks to us about his big road trip and getting that victory in Arizona. Man, him and the legend Logan Paulson jump into the film room and break down some of the best plays against the Cardinals. Man, to end the show, Logan Paulson talks about his must-watch matchups, and hopefully we get that dub against the Cleveland Browns. That all starts now on the Game Plan. Welcome in our head coach, Dan Quinn. Coach, back from a long road trip, back-to-back road wins, all that momentum, and now we get to play back at home. How exciting is that?
Yeah, it's awesome to be back home. And so to get the chance to do it in front of our fans and absolutely, create an environment of that home field advantage that we've been talking about, we can't wait, man. We absolutely cannot wait.
So with that long road trip, Coach, have you ever done that before? I don't know if I've ever been a part of anything like that, and what made you confident that that would work out?
You know what? A lot of it, we just thought about the players first, and to say, if we had to go out on a Monday night game, come all the way back here, and then go back, changing 3 time zones again, we would have to leave on Friday. So we got back here Tuesday morning and turn around and go. So could we take on the challenge of basically putting this building in Arizona? And we knew the early part of the week, you get there at 3 or 4 in the morning, groggy, but as the days go on, you get fresher and you're ready to go. And so we thought, what are the margins that you look for when you're trying to win a game? And in that instance, Logan, it was to say, let's keep the team out and go right out to Arizona to get ready to play. And so they did a fantastic job. We were able to practice at ASU. They had a bye that week, so it really timed up well for us to go from the hotel. We could practice. The guys could lift there. And it also created some space for us to, get even more connected as a team. Being away 8, days, it takes a lot of sacrifice, to do that. But like most of the good things do.
Out in Cincinnati, out in Arizona. Yes, it was a road game, but if you looked in that stands, you really couldn't tell because Burgundy and Gold showed up and showed out for us. Now we get to be back at home. Only the second time this season. How excited are you to see how the fans turn up for us at home?
Yeah, I absolutely was so surprised, and I was so pumped. I remember, talking to Anthony Lynn and Brian Johnson. I said, "Look, man, look behind our bench." And so to see all that Burgundy and Gold there, it was like when you find $20 in your pocket after the laundry, you're like, hell yeah.
This is nice.
Awesome, yeah.
And so when I saw that, I was like, it gave you a little lift. You felt a little taller, knowing that you had that kind of support on the road, and it was totally unexpected. So to see that, knowing how strong our fan base is, that can be anywhere, and to say, hey, we're going to show up and show out. And so the fact that it feels like 3 of the first 4 games on the road, so man, we're starving to come home and to be in front of these fans. And I'm hopeful to create that home field advantage, because that's when you can really create competitive winning, environments. And the fans have a really big say in that, to say, we're going to do our part to, be tough and physical and play in a play style that we want. But then when we add all that onto it, man, now we're talking, where this whole identity can really come together, and a home field advantage is where it begins.
And what a home game it will be. So let's get right into it. Let's start with our offense. Now, our offensive line has looked so good, looked like one of the best units in the NFL. But this Cleveland Browns defense has a lot of firepower on that defensive line.
Yes.
How can our offensive line continue to play at a high level against the Browns?
Yeah, you're right about them. And it really starts with Myles Garrett. He is such an exceptional player. He can be outside, he can be inside. He's long, he's got twitch. So when you're playing against good players like him, you have to make sure you know where he's at and be accounted for. But they play an attacking, aggressive style. Coach Schwartz and their staff is, very clear on how they play. And so for us, it's going to be a mix like we have been of the run, the play passes that go with it. Those go hand in hand, Brian. If you have a good run game, you need play pass to go with it. All right. If you have a good play pass game where they can't just step up and go attack for the run, that's the balance and the yin and the yang. And I thought Cliff and the offensive staff have done a really good job of finding that balance between the two.
Yeah, and with a guy like Myles Garrett, you talked about how special he is. I mean, gosh, watching the film, it's he's got to be one of the best defensive players in football, if not the best. And the way they move him around, it's almost kind of matching a receiver. You know what I'm saying, defensively. So what are some tools, maybe for the layperson that you're saying, hey, we can really use X, Y, Z to kind of mitigate. He's going to affect the game, but mitigate what he does well.
Yeah, and for a player like Myles, sometimes it's a tight end over there to help. Right. Sometimes it's a running back over to help, or another set of hands, so to speak. And what's sometimes even more remarkable for players like him, even when they get the special attention, they still find ways to impact the game. Because as a defensive end or even a wide receiver, any position, if you can make those 2 or 3 plays that impact the game, all the other 47 and 48 plays that you're digging and grinding for, but those 2 or 3, whether it's a deep ball for a receiver or a big sack for a defensive end, those game-changing plays, you've got to make sure that you're always on it in terms of the game plan.
And Coach, you mentioned it yourself. Coach Schwartz likes to bring that aggression. He likes to bring that pressure. How does our rookie quarterback, what are your expectations for our rookie quarterback against such an aggressive defense?
Well, I think number one, I think you guys know, but for the fans to know how hard Jaden works in the preparation. And so those are the unseen things that show up, on game day because of the work and the preparation that he puts in. So he's got a fantastic supporting cast of people here that want to support him, offensive line, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers. So their connection and the communication that they're doing. So he's not out there doing this, by himself. He is absolutely playing the position at a high level, knowing that everybody around him, he trusts them to do what they're going to do. So it allows him to do his job at full speed and allow it to really let it rip. He's not worrying about if the route's going to be run at the right spot or the protection's going to be in the right location, because he has trust because of the work they've all put in together.
Yeah, and it's crazy watching. I'm glad you brought that up, because the offense just seems so well executed across the board. And I look at Cliff, and I'm like, man, he must be doing a great job, along with the whole offensive staff. But I also look at Cliff, and to Brian's question, I'm like, he's got to be a big part of helping out with this blitz scheme, right? Providing answers. I think he's just been calling great football games. Can you talk about his process and his growth over the first 4 games and how that's helped Jaden?
Yeah, I think the best of the best find ways to feature the unique things that a player can do. And so if you and I, or all 3 of us, had the same playbook, we would call it differently.
Right.
And how do we feature a player who's got unique things and get them? I think Cliff does a fantastic job of that. The other part of our offense that's hard to prepare for is the different styles and tempos, people who are in and out, you're on the ball, you're huddling. And so it's a really hard style to practice if you're the opponent. Because most of the time in the NFL, the other team practices their plays, you get time, you actually put them on cards at practice, and you show the specific look that's going to happen. Well, when there's all this motions and shifts and movements and people, you don't really get to lock in on one specific thing. It's all the different things that we do. So that's how you create a nightmare.
It's kind of like playing against the wing T in college. Like when these guys run the triple option, it's just hard to prep for because it's so unique, and you can't practice at this team's speed.
Correct.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that you just, it's hard to do. And we have a lot of different groups, and by no means are we as good as we're going to be. After 4 games, we're still growing, as a team. But the one thing that is growing really fast is their connection to one another. And I think in the last game, there was a great example of that. At the end of the half, there was a defensive stop, a field goal for a score, and under a minute to play. Offense took the ball to start the second half and scored, and all of a sudden this 10, point shift took place. And those are the moments in a game that you see all 3 of them connected. And the sideline was absolutely, going crazy for one another. And, somebody gave me a great compliment. Said, looks like a bunch of friends, playing football together.
That's cool.
And Tressway, one of his friends, had told him that. And I said, what a great compliment to have. They said, looks like you guys are a bunch of friends, together playing really good football. And I thought, man, that's what you want to hear as a coach. So one of his friends and mentors had told him that, and he shared that with me. And I thought, boy, that's a great compliment.
2 friends we've loved seeing. We call them Lightning and Thunder, B-Rob, Austin Eckler. The way Cliff has utilized them has been very, very impressive. How do you guys plan to utilize them Sunday to help Jaden out with this high-pressure defense?
Yeah, I think, the way that we attack, we want to feature guys, it's running backs or receivers or tight ends. So, we haven't shown everything, that's for sure. So, there'll be different wrinkles and nuances that go. But one thing that you can count on from the 2 of them is, they're going to fight to the end. These are absolute elite competitors, both of them. And I love how sometimes they're in the game together. And we work that way as well. But both of them really complement one another, not only as ball players, but as teammates too.
And a follow-up for B-Rob, because he was asked to be more of a workhorse this week with Austin Eckler being out. Can you just talk about B-Rob and what you saw from him and how impressed you were with his game?
Yeah, I really have appreciation for who he is, both as off the field as a man, but on the field as a ball player. His toughness, and that's what we want Commander football to look like. finishing up plays, wanting it in the crunch time. The closer you get to the end zone, the harder you're going. Like Brian represents all of that, and the more he gets the ball, like the tougher it gets. And so that's something as a coach that, we want to feature him in that way as well. And so he's absolutely been a key part of this so far.
Yeah, and you've gotten the most out of him. You've got the most out of Austin. But the other thing that's been cool to watch is guys getting the most out of OZ and getting the most out of McNichols and these guys that, are kind of role player special teams guys, but in the moment they kind of step up big. It's how do you keep everybody motivated, when they're maybe not the star or maybe the role is different for that week, it's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, I think as the roles grow during a season, it may not have even been the role that you thought you were going to have going into it. But for a guy like Jeremy, he's selfless, big humility, he's always ready to do the dirty work. I think he had a great block and a blitz pickup against Cincinnati.
Yes.
He covers kicks, and then when called upon, he's going to deliver.
Yeah.
And so he did in the game against Arizona for a long touchdown run. So it was no surprise that he would play well. We've seen him put the work in. He is a fantastic teammate. And so when called upon, a guy like Jeremy's going to deliver, or OZ, because we see it every day in practice of what they stand for. So we've got a lot of players like that are our glue that means so much to our team. And they don't always show up on the stat sheet, but the locker room and the team knows what they stand for.
And another group that's been delivering is our defense. So let's talk about them real quick. Deshaun Watson, off to a slow start, but we know what he is capable of. How hard is it to scheme against a guy like Deshaun Watson, and what are your expectations for him?
Yeah, he's got just a fantastic background of football, in every level and every way. And, we were talking about Miles earlier, and a guy like Deshaun who can change the game in an instant. And, having a big play receiver like Amari to throw to, or the quickness of a Judy, or the tight, they have weapons that, Deshaun's fully equipped to get the ball to him. And so they've got a great scheme, they've got a system, and so he is a elite competitor, so he is going to fight till the very end. And so that's the type of game, that we're expecting as well. Cleveland's a resilient, tough team. They went through injuries last year with different quarterbacks where most people would have been written off, and they weren't about it. And so they've had some injuries this year that they're battling through. So they're a tough team, and we're expecting a tough match, and we'll get their best, and they're going to get ours too.
Coach, we cannot wait to see you guys out there back at home. I know you're excited. I can see the smile on your face. Coach, thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it, bud.
Appreciate you.
Now it's time for your Prime Player, brought to you by DC Prime, Loudoun's premier steakhouse. For dinner reservations or private dining, call 703-840-2099. This week's Prime Player is running back Jeremy McNichols. He had a career game against the Arizona Cardinals last week, putting up 2 touchdowns, the most he's had in a game. McNichols has been in the league since 2017, where he was drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a 5th-round pick. And in 2023, McNichols saw action in 3 games and was on special teams with the 49ers. He's proven to be a huge contributor on Cliff Kingsbury's dynamic offense over the past week, and has been a force in Washington's backfield while Eckler was out on injury. Coming up, Logan and Coach head into the film room to talk about some of Washington's best plays from last week's win over the Cardinals. And afterwards, we'll share our must-watch matchups for a victory over the Cleveland Browns. The Game Plan is presented by Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. Welcome back into the Game Plan. It's time to go inside the film room, brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly.
All right, Coach, got the Cleveland Browns this week, and I saw a lot from this defense that said, man, they're kind of headed in the right direction. Let's start with our guy, Frankie Louver here. The Cardinals are running like a power counter type play. They're going to bring this guard back around. They're going to motion this tight end and bring him around. And one of the things about this is, as you know, is if you can create a little penetration and disrupt this, make a little bit of a pile, it kills the run dead. And I don't think you could get a better example of how to do that than from our guy, Frankie Louver, right here.
Yeah, Frankie Louver has the run and hit factor. He has it, and he uses it. And so some of the plays may not show up on the stat sheet, but in order to disrupt a play, we talk about taking 2. So here's one, and as the second puller, the tight end's coming around the turn, here comes a second blocker who was going to go either for chin or for wag. So talk about teamwork at the highest level. Taking out 2 allows the second player to be free. And so he brings so much energy to us, Logan, the physicality, the playmaking ability. he's just getting started.
Yeah, it's fantastic to watch. And I'll tell you, like, this is not the matchup you want for this wing tight end here. You know, like, having done that a couple times in my career, like a guy that attacks with that kind of energy and makes this big pile here. I mean, that's awesome. And it's great to see him not only in this type of stuff, but run and hit on special teams. We got another clip of him later in this breakdown, but he's been a lot of fun to watch. And then this one, Coach, like, you know, maybe want to improve and stopping the run, but I think this is a great example. Right after an interception, coming out, this defensive line here just does a great job. You know, Drazan does such an awesome job exploding through his hips, knocking the center back. Our guy right here just does a nice job looping, getting back in, Allen. It's great to see the aggressiveness, the energy, the physicality.
Yeah, we love this package with Duran and Johnny and John inside together. Those three are a handful. And so then we can get them on the move sometimes and try to get knockbacks. And when you get chances to go make a play and take a shot, that's a really big deal. And so for the defense to have the offense's back after a takeaway, that was their way of expressing back to the offense, hey man, we got your back, go attack and play ball again.
And again, like, this is kind of one of those things that maybe goes a little unnoticed. You guys are in like a kind of a sub package here, nickel, but this is Percy Butler.
Yep.
And so to see him kind of, you know, DBs don't always want to put their face in there, and
Not him.
No fear here, right? We're getting up there, we're going to tackle that running back, you know.
Yeah.
So
like Percy
everybody's
is
working together.
He is an absolute dog of a competitor, man. And so, like, he is always down for it. So no big surprise to see him in the A gap and wanted to go get a little bit of that.
Go get a little bit. You got a lot of it right there, Coach. Then this is, again, it's third and whatever. This is one of my favorite plays because it's just guys being passionate about football, being passionate about defense. They're going to read the quarterback here, but look at these guys, kind of their approach, and then that physical vice tackle. This is almost a first down, but we're fighting for every blade of grass, and we're being physical in the tackle here. I just love the urgency to get there.
Yeah, and we want to play tough, and we want to play physical. And so the thing I do like about this one, like, we attack and we hit with our shoulders, and we want to play it safe, but we also want to play tough and turn people back the other way. And this is a great example when you're playing zone, and sometimes you have vision right on the QB, and we call that pulling the pin, Logan. So right when the ball is thrown, can they go and absolutely go and attack? And now when you have zone, like, you should have big hits and big collisions and hopefully get a chance to knock the ball out somehow.
Yeah, and again, guys are juiced, right? We understand, you know, we got people hands up, fourth down. That's awesome. This is the fourth down play, and I love this because, like, you've said this on this before, like, we want to communicate, we want people to hear us before they see us. They're moving around, they're talking, and like Benjamin St. Juste is talking. We got Noah talking, or whoever this is, Sanders still in the slot. We got people just communicating with each other, kind of getting on the same page, kind of telling a little bit of a story here to the offense, which is awesome to see, and it's just really great execution and maturity of the last couple of games.
Yeah, what you want to see is one, great communication, where you can hear them before you see them. And so every once in a while you want to play some disguises, things that look like man and can play like zone, and vice versa. And so what a great example on this in a fourth down play to try to let the quarterback know, is it man or is it zone, so they can have a specific type of play.
This looks like man all the way.
And then boom, to quickly go into zone. What a great illustration of rush and coverage working together, and the best of the best teams do that. And so although we've been disappointed with how we've started on some plays, this is the type of play that, you know, we should be able to expect from our defense.
And it's such a great size. You know, he's in the middle of the field. It looks like it's got a flat contour, and you can tell he gets out there, gives a little pump, and then says, "Oh no, I'm wrong." And then it's just enough to get Dorrance there.
Just a click. And these are the type of, you know, game-changing plays on a fourth down to make a stop that can switch it. And so you never know when those moments are going to happen. You just have to go execute, Logan, over and over again. And when you have your shot, you got to go make it.
Yeah, and we're talking about shots, Coach. I mean, our guy, we talked about Frankie earlier in the thing, and the ball is alive, man. And I love when I see the ball on the ground from a defensive perspective. Like, and our guy, the Tasmanian Devil's in there ripping that sucker out and bringing the juice and helping the offense out.
One of the things you've heard me say before, good things happen to those who run. And so his ability to go run and finish, I can't tell you when the play is going to come out, but I do know if you run and you go take your shot at it, you know, you got a chance. And so in this instance, Frankie was actually upset. He should have been a little deeper in the coverage. So he was going to make up for it, but that type of finish is the game-changing plays. And so I thought he had a really, really good game. And it's moments like that and the effort like that that shows to his teammates how deep he is in for them.
Yeah, and it's great to see that group growing up, and I can't wait to watch them versus the Cleveland Browns today.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We're pumped too.
Always great to hear what Coach and Logan have to say in the film room. Now, gear up for game day with our Commanders coverage at noon. B-Mitch Santana and myself share in-depth analysis on the Commanders and a live look into their warm-ups as they prepare for their matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Then immediately after the game, we'll be back live to share our reactions to the game as well as coach and player press conferences. You won't want to miss all of the great analysis and live looks on Facebook, X, and the Commanders YouTube. And stick around, Commanders family, because Logan will be right back to give you our must-watch matchups at home today on the Game Plan. Welcome back into the Game Plan. It's time to highlight the Commanders' Coach of the Week from Week 4. Robert Evanson kicked off the season with a dominant 39-0 home opener victory against Freedom High School, leading Light Ridge High School football under the motto, Big Team, Little Me. Coach Evanson instills a culture of integrity, accountability, and selflessness, driving his players to excel both on and off the field. Now it's time for a competitive edge brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. Here's a look at the upcoming competition for the Commanders. Washington beat the Cardinals in their Week 4 matchup on the road, putting up 28 points in their victory, which was their largest margin for the Commanders since 2015. Now, Washington currently leads the NFL in third down conversion percentage and is also 6 for 6 converting on fourth downs. They will be looking to pull off a win against the Browns at home at Northwest Stadium, with their last win over the Cleveland Browns being in 2016. Commanders family, I have great news for you. We have Commanders content going out each and every day of the week. We have podcasts, shows, press conferences, and so much more. Be sure to subscribe to the Commanders YouTube page and turn on the bell so that you get notified every time we post. Now it's time for your ticket to a win, presented by SeatGeek, your ticket to great Commander seats. Take it away, Logan.
Here's your ticket to a win, and these are your must-watch matchups. Let's start with maybe the most important one, and that's Cliff Kingsbury versus Myles Garrett. Now, this guy might be the most physically dominant defensive player in the NFL, so it's not one player. It's not Brandon Coleman. It's not Cornelius Lucas taking on this matchup. It's Cliff Kingsbury and how we scheme this guy up. We're going to have to run the football. We're going to have to use quick game. We're going to have to use keepers. We're going to have to use play pass to unsettle him. Or we're going to have to stay out of third and long situations and obvious passing downs, because this guy can literally beat any offensive lineman in the NFL. So what's up here in this brain of Cliff Kingsbury to make sure this guy's going to affect the game? He's going to have to pour it all out for this one, for this matchup. Can't wait to watch what Cliff has in store. All right, we got Jane Daniels versus Jim Schwartz. And Jim Schwartz is one of the more aggressive defensive coordinators in the NFL. And so when you think about stuff that Jaden's had a hard time with, it's pressure. This guy, I'm assuming, is going to bring a lot of pressure. He's got a nice stable of pass rushers. He's going to bring it on. So Jaden Daniels, how do you handle pressure? He's done a great job growing from that Week 1 matchup versus Tampa Bay, right? We've seen him bring zero. Arizona brought a little bit of zero pressure, all-out blitzes. He's getting the ball out quick, but this is going to be a different animal. How does he handle it? I can't wait to see. Very, very talented on a meteoric rise to success. Can't wait to see what that looks like. And then we got Joe Witt Jr. versus Ken Dorsey. They've got really dynamic playmakers. The defense is playing better under his tutelage. They've done a great job. So how does he fight what he wants to do? And they've done a great job communicating, getting the defense in general on the same page. This is going to be extremely critical in this game. Can't wait to check it out. So those are your must-watch matchups. That does it for the Game Plan. Enjoy the game.